statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence. The EFF reiterates its position that we must build state capacity, build a strong agricultural and industrial nation which will not depend on the West, and intensify trade relations with progressive nations such as China, Russia, and nations within BRICS who do not use foreign policy.
YouTube channel. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. The drama is on, and you just heard the opposition leader of the opposition party in South Africa, EFFM, Julius Malema, stating categorically that the land reforms that have been undertaken by the South African government is for the furtherance and the benefits of the average black South African. It's not geared towards undermining, but an even distribution of the resources that belongs to indigenous South Africans. As you know, Donald Trump has offered a refugee status to every white South Africans who have categorized themselves as Afrikaner, and giving them a refugee status in America as a result of certain policies that had to do with land reforms that have been currently undertaken by the president of South Africa. And the president came out and was quite vocal when Donald Trump began to issue sanctions and cancel out aids, especially aids that had to cover healthcare, HIV issues in South Africa, and said that South Africa will not be bullied or intimidated with their policies the way the West has always done. They're going to work with the progressive countries of the East, and he was making reference to China and Russia in partnering with South Africa in moving it forward. So is this going to boomerang on Donald Trump? Because already the reactions on the streets, the response from various South Africans, white South Africans who have been interviewed, indicates the interest that they do not want to leave this place where their forefathers came in the early 700s to settle down. So we're going to look at various contents that have been put out there by content creators, and we'll come back and we want to know what your observations are.
President Donald Trump just signed an executive order with two goals. The first, to freeze all financial aid to South Africa. The second, to promote the resettlement of Afrikaners in the United States, to escape the draconian policies of the South African government. The Afrikaners of Orania take note of this development, and we are very thankful, specifically for the urgency with which this was tackled in regards to land expropriation and expropriation of property without compensation. However, our plea can be summarized in 3 words: help us here. Not necessarily with US tax dollars, but with the recognition of our legitimate pursuit. That is the pursuit of Afrikaner self-determination and an autonomous region. Recognizing us as an ethnic people leads to a conclusion, and that is that the only sustainable option for Afrikaners is an autonomous area. The South African government even signed this as the Afrikaner Accord on Self-Determination in the 1990s, which states that Afrikaner self-determination is a legitimate pursuit. Our highest ambition is not to be resettled or relocated. Our highest ambition is freedom. We ask the White House to recognize this, and we also extend that wish to all other nations.
We don't want to move elsewhere. We are not going to ask our children now to move to another country. The fact is, our ancestors worked hard to make sure that we as a people are formed down the southern tip of Africa. We're not going to disrespect that. We also have the interests of future generations in mind. We also have to make sure that our culture is transferred to future generations. And that cannot be done abroad. You cannot, in the long term, or there's a real risk. If you go to another country now, there's a real risk that your grandchildren will not say to you in the morning, "Hello, Opa." They would say something like, "Hi, Granddad," or something in that respect.
I haven't watched the video clips. You heard what the African community in South Africa is saying, which are predominantly white people. And you just don't uproot people from a place that have been established for over close to 300 to 400 years and ask them to take up a refugee status in America and start life over again. So they are saying to Trump, if you really want to help us here in South Africa, help us to get autonomy, help us to find our own community, our own people, than uprooting us and asking us to come over there to the United States. So for the African community, it's a no-go area. So I want to know what your thoughts are and your opinions are in the comment section concerning this. If you found this very informative, we want to also know, please hit the subscription button and the notification button so that when we put up new updates, you'll be the first to know. Thank you.